The Rams sign a quarterback. We have everything you need to know about Rams training camp. Dates have been released. Also, more nuggets from the lead up to training camp. Puka Nacua, Davante Adams, Jared Verse, so much more on a jam-packed episode of Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you want to do me the biggest favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button if you really want to support this show. Drop some comments down below. Also on the podcast side, the listeners, every listeners, drop a review and we'll read it live on this show. Really appreciate that. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade. Chat Sports, 24/7 Sports, SI, Bleacher Report, Dodgers Nation, The Big Lead. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. And today's show, we've got lots of little news and nuggets and things to get into, things that players have been saying about the roster heading into training camp, which starts next month. Also, the Rams make a signing, and that's where we are going to start. The Rams are bringing back a former quarterback to play for this organization, one that has been in the UFL. And no, I'm not talking about Bryce Perkins. I'm talking about Dresser Winn. He's had two different stints with the Rams since the 2023 season. This past spring, he was in the UFL. He played for the Memphis Showboats. I like that name. It's a nice name. I like that name. I'm not going to lie. I like the name. It's a good name. I don't know how much UFL you watch, but the Memphis Showboats, he started 4 games for them. He threw 834 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns. He had 52 yards rushing, scored once on the ground. He did throw 4 interceptions. That was tied for the third most of any QB in the league. Did have 137 attempts, 80 completions. And when he joined this organization back in 2023, he was originally a UDFA out of UT Martin. He did everything he could to kind of carve out a role for this organization. He did play in the CFL for the Edmonton Elks, but now he is back. He was in the practice squad, but he is back. This is his 3rd time with the organization. And why this is important is because, one, Matthew Stafford and Jimmy Garoppolo will not be playing in any Rams preseason games. None at all whatsoever. You know what Sean McVay values? Health is wealth, and he will not have them participating. And Stetson Bennett, their quarterback that they took out of Georgia a few years back, he is going to get the lion's share of the reps, but you need a backup quarterback, and Dresser Winn can certainly provide that. So he has not made the 53-man roster at any point in his time with the Rams. He has not gotten promoted from that practice squad, but still, I mean, you need guys to come in these spots. You need backups, and what he is an insurance policy that will not ever start significant games for the Rams. If anything went extremely bad, where it was a emergency situation beyond belief, the Rams would not say, oh, we're finally at the Dresser Winn chapter of this terrible season. No, they'll go out there and they would get another guy. But still, you got to know about all the signings, and this is the latest one. Now, I don't know about you, but it really feels like summer is on and cracking. For me, summer is one of my early traditions. I got to watch Jaws. I go through the Jaws series, Jaws 1, 2, and 3. Jaws 3D's a little underrated. But then once that starts happening, I'm like, okay, training camp is upon us, and we are getting close. And here are the dates. July 24th, 25th, 26th, 28th, 29th, 31st, August 2nd and 3rd. Gates open up at 3:30 on the 24th at Loyola Marymount University. LMU is where the Rams will be holding their training camp. We've got dates, we've got times, and it is getting closer and closer to some real game action. And if you guys are going, I highly recommend it. It's a great time to go and see your Los Angeles Rams. It's a great time to go and see if, hey, you get up close and personal with some of these players. I highly recommend it. It gets hot out there. There's no doubt about that. It definitely is on the warmer side. So go SPF 100 plus. Keep applying that sunscreen, but definitely go. I mean, I cannot stress this enough. It's great to go to training camp. It's an awesome way to see your Los Angeles Rams in kind of an intimate setting there. And you never know what you're going to see. I mean, you never know when they're going to give you some access and the players going to come give you autographs. And I haven't seen how it's going to look at LMU, but when it was at Irvine, it was really cool to go. I went there as the media once, but it did go and look like a great situation for fans with the stands the way they were. By the way, the mind-numbing Jalen Ramsey rumor mill that continues to go on, and we haven't seen a move, but at this point, it does feel like everything's kind of quiet. Adam Schefter, he did say on ESPN, the Rams are still in the mix. Sean McVay isn't ruling anything out, but as each day goes on, it does feel like it becomes less and less that Jalen Ramsey is going to be reality. And earlier this week, Schefter also reported that Ramsey could be coming to LA, but it's not for the Rams. It could be for the Chargers. So the Chargers are now a team that's in the mix for Ramsey. And Shefty said, I think Pittsburgh checked in. I'm not sure what Pittsburgh's going to be the destination. In fact, if I had to guess, I would say Pittsburgh would not be the likely destination. I think when you're trying to figure out a home for Jalen Ramsey, two teams that make sense, and we'll see how it plays out, will be both in Los Angeles, be it the Chargers or the Rams. I know people have brought up the Rams, and the Rams just continue to float around there. It would have to work out financially for both sides, and I think that's a possibility still. But I think LA in general is a possibility. So it almost feels like the Chargers are more of a destination now than the Rams. And if that happens, it happens. I mean, just talking to people within the organization of late, they're standing pat. They're not going to be desperate for Jalen Ramsey. If the right deal presents itself and they think they can capitalize and pull the trigger on that, they certainly won't be afraid to do so. But if you think there's going to be a situation where they're calling Miami and being desperate to get Ramsey back, that certainly is not going to be the case. It almost feels like you need a deal for him to not work out for another team, and then those teams to be so far apart in negotiations that the Rams kind of swoop in, they get that rebound, and then he becomes a Ram. But at least right now, the way they're playing it, there's a little bit of a leverage play by the Rams and not wanting to act like they're desperate for him. That's going to be their stance. But yeah, they're just hanging around, lurking around. That's kind of how they do business in these situations. So yeah, I know it's tiresome. I know that they have had Jalen Ramsey on the Rams' radar in rumors for months now, but it's certainly significant. I mean, the thing about the Rams is a lot of teams, if they're linked to players in rumors, it's all for clicks, right? That's not the case with the Rams. The Rams actually get past the goal line in deals like this. If they want guys, they get guys. And it's not far-fetched to think that it's not possible in this situation, but it is becoming increasingly unlikely, but that is where it stands right now. But coming up next, we are talking Puka Nacua, and Puka Nacua reveals the first thing that has stood out to him that he's learned from Davante Adams that could take his game to the next level. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And a reminder that today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building your wealth. And Monarch Money has helped me a lot. It's like having everything in one app. It makes it easier, your investments, your spending, and it's really great when it comes to managing your subscriptions. They add up everything. So really it just helps a lot. And if you got financial goals, saving money per month and things like that, I can help you with that. So it's really good because it just adds everything up and you find some surprise like, oh man, I'm spending too much on food, too much on entertainment, too much on whatever it may be. It definitely simplifies things. For me, Uber Eats, it gets a little too crazy for me sometimes. So definitely it works out for that. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Also want to give a shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. You are what makes this show go. And if you're new to the channel, there's a lot of new viewers, a lot of new listeners lately. Join the Everyday Listeners Club. All you do is watch and listen to every single episode we drop, video or podcast, and then you don't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. Okay, here in our second segment, we're talking about Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. I think one of the most interesting storylines heading into training camp is how does Davante Adams, how does he impart his wisdom and his experience on Puka Nacua, and how does that elevate Puka to another level? Can he continue to grow? Does he still have a high ceiling? I still think that he has. I don't think that he has reach his potential. It might be 80% there, but I still think there's that 20%. I think he's that talented. For as good as he's been, I still think that he can get even better. And Puka was asked what he's learned from Davante Adams and what really stands out and how it can help him. And he said that it's, quote, I think the suddenness and the ability to steal leverage at the line of scrimmage has been something that he thrives on, and everybody in the NFL knows that's something that is one of his greatest assets, and to be able to figure that out and how that works in our route concepts and the timing of our offense. So I'd say that's been one of the biggest things. So Davante Adams continues to be open and willing to help his new teammates. He does feel like he's just giving them wisdom. I mean, he's like a wide receiver Yoda out there. I mean, it's just crazy to see him work with his teammates and give him this knowledge that you can only get through being really good for a really long time and having that success in this league. And I think that a lot of players, when they're experienced and young guys coming up, yeah, they say they want to learn from guys. They say they're open, but a lot of these guys think to themselves, hey, I got myself here. I'm going to really handpick the guys I'm going to learn from. And when Davante speaks, receivers are going to listen. They're going to listen, right? He is wide receiver Yoda, right?
Leverage you still at line of scrimmage you do. Open you will get. Breaks in and out of. Easier there will be.
Okay. That's the Yoda for today, okay? But still, that is what he brings. And I think that for Davante Adams, I think that when the teacher starts teaching and relearns what he's teaching, I think that re-energizes him, right? And I think that's why he has been such a re-energized and excited guy back in this Rams camp. And you look at some of these top 100 lists, and Puka Nacua is actually ranked higher than Davante Adams. On CBS list, Puka Nacua is ranked 63rd. It says about Puka, he was limited to 12 games because of injury, yet Nacua still managed to catch 79 passes with 3 touchdowns. That number was down from the 105 he had as a rookie, but he did average more catches per game. So last year, Puka was 66. This year, he's 63. On this list, Davante Adams is at 91. It says about Tay, Adams turns 23 in December, so age is starting to become a factor. He was never a burner, so that's a concern, but the Rams' offense would seem to be perfect for how he plays. Playing the Raiders and Jets and being with those guys, he still had 85 catches and 8 touchdown receptions. So last season, Davante Adams was ranked as high as 26 on the top 100 list for CBS. Of course, there's a lot of lists out there. We'll get into those during these dog days of NFL summer months. That's a pretty big drop-off. And to see Davante Adams behind Puka Nacua, if you followed this league for a long time, it kind of shows you that, hey, the NFL comes at you fast, right? I mean, the NFL, what does it stand for? Not for long, right? But the truth is, Davante Adams has been really good for a long time, and I think that what I'm interested to see is how will a list like this look at the end of next season? Because I think if Davante Adams is still at 91, that'd be okay, right? If he doesn't fall out of the top 100, that'd be fine. You'd still be getting a good amount of production for him. But I would like to see him get back in there into the top 60, into the top 50. And I think playing with a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, playing in an offense led by a quarterback that his arm is still one of the best in the league with a Sean McVay that's going to scheme with him and talent around him, right? Davante Adams is no longer that Bugatti at the trailer park, right? He's got other really nice guys and nice cars around him that can help free him up too. And you watch him play, and it's great to see him get in and out of his breaks and use that ability that he does have. So I'm curious to see if Davante Adams can take a leap, and I do think that this has really started a new chapter for him where he's really, really energized and he's really happy to be viewed by his peers as a guy that has some of these answers to some of these questions that it takes a lot of these guys years and years to find out. But Davante Adams also said that when he's asked about one thing that he tells wide receivers that are new to the league in their first couple of years what to do, and he says, it's not about me having better footwork. It's about me exercising my right to use my footwork every time I get pressed. I don't make it easy on the guy. So that is something that I think that you can instantly help Puka Nacua with. Better footwork, cleaning things up, giving the route running that helps him. And I think that, hey, they're not guys that are going to be absolute burners, but that's when you stay in this league for a long time. When you become a masterful tactician, you focus on technique, and I think that Davante Adams and Puka Nacua are both those guys. By the way, Cooper Kupp is already feels like he's moving on, I guess, because Cooper Kupp, he said recently that he sees a lot of Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Cooper Kupp said, I think the first thing that struck me was he plays a lot stronger and is a lot stronger than people know about Jackson. There's a play strength that comes along and that I just know I'm not going to lose. I'm going to find a way to win. Jackson has that. It's similar to what Puka was like coming in as well. The competitiveness and the play strength are both very similar. So looks like he's in his own little mentor-mentee relationship in Seattle. So it's good to see Cooper Kupp moving on. You've seen some social media stuff with him. And hair looks different, looks a little different, but yeah, I find it pretty interesting there. But Cooper Kupp is no longer a Ram, so we're not going to talk about Kupp very much on the show until the Seahawks play the Rams. But coming up next, Kobe Turner reveals exactly what he thinks this Rams defense needs to improve upon to take it to the next level and be one of the best defenses in the league. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Guys, you probably heard of Viagra, and guys, you probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugia Ready. Rugia Ready is the next generation prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugia's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugia might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. I love that it's completely online. Rugia connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. Head to Rugia.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit Rugia website for full safety information. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, here in the third segment, we're flipping to the defensive side of the football, and we're going to talk about some comments recently made from Rams standout young player heading into his third season, Kobe Turner. So Kobe Turner was talking about the Rams defense on a podcast, and he was asked by JB Long about the defense and things like that. And he said that for this team to take it to the next level, you got to limit those big runs. He says, of course, over the course of this last year, what killed us was a lot of the big plays. In particular, a lot of big runs. If you really look at a lot of those games where we gave up a bunch of rushing yards, it wasn't every single play they're getting a bunch of yards. It was a couple of those plays where we fit it up wrong, or a couple of those plays where maybe we got caught out. It's about minimizing those big plays. I mean, that's what the league is nowadays. Obviously, the points matter the most. The turnover margin matters the most. But after that, it's the explosive plays. So that is 100% true. Just diving into this defense from last year, kind of looking at it, yes, they had their highlights. Yes, they finished really, really strong. But if you had limited those big plays, there's a world where this team wins the Super Bowl. I mean, just think about the division round loss to the Eagles and what happened in that game. In that loss, they allowed runs of 44 yards, 62 yards, 78 yards. That's the game. In a close game that comes down to the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, that is the game. And yes, tip your cap. Saquon Barkley is a special talent. Jalen Hurts is a special talent for a running quarterback. But if they can clean that up this year, that is something that can really, really take this defense to the next level. I mean, in the regular season, the Rams, they gave up 3 touchdowns of at least 35 yards. One was 70 yards, 72 yards by Saquon Barkley. He also gave an 18-yard touchdown to Malik Washington that led up to one as well in those situations. So there are situations like that that come back to haunt you, and they have the talent to do it, really. I mean, they really have the ability to make those plays. It's just tackling in space. Schematically, you want to get them in spots where you're not having guys out on the island. But Turner also said once we minimize those, the sky's the limit for us. We've already been able to see what it looks like coming to life on third downs. We know that when we get them in known passing situations, it's about first and second down. So owning the run and earning the right to rush the passer, that's something that we started to focus on last year, but another place we can be better at and grow consistency. So, yeah, I mean, what he's saying there is that you can come to life on third downs and you can make those big plays, but that they know that you get them into known passing situations, you're going to do work. But it's about first down and second down and trying to get them into those situations that mean the most. So, yeah, I'm excited to see Kobe Turner. I really like him. I mean, obviously for a million different reasons, but not only is he a great, talented player, he's just incredibly smart. And he's a guy that is extremely intelligent, cerebral. He knows the game. There's a leadership quality and a magnetism, too. I mean, I think the conductor, celebration, and just, I mean, the guy should drop a Christmas album for sure with the pipes that he has. And he's someone I think that is going to be a big reason why this Rams team takes another step towards a Super Bowl this next season. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be looking for early on in this season is just how big of a leap can this defensive line take? Because I think they're going to be a major strength for this team. I think by the end of the season, you're going to be talking about them as a top 5 defensive line in the NFL. And PFF just dropped their rankings of the top defensive lines of football, and they have the Rams ranked as number 9. I mean, that's pretty decent. I mean, when you look at the Rams defensive line with Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, and Byron Young, they combined for 28.5 sacks, 43 tackles for a loss, 234 combined tackles. That is a strong foundation to work with. Kobe Turner already has essentially established himself as one of the better pass rushers in the league. Braden Fisk had a breakout rookie season. Jared Verse won defensive rookie of the year. And Byron Young, big, athletic. He makes plays all over the field as well. PFF had this to say about the Rams defensive line. Many expected the Rams defensive line to fall off following Aaron Donald's retirement, but the unit has remained above average thanks to its young players, including a pair of impactful rookies. And yeah, you just look at that. I mean, Braden Fisk, he generated a pressure rate of 13.2% on pass plays in 2024. That was 5th at his position. Jared Verse, an 89.3 overall PFF grade. That was 7th among edge defenders. Not rookie edge defenders as a group, as a position group. And then you bring in Poona Ford, and he's at 85.3%, an 85.3 overall PFF grade. That was 5th among interior defenders this last season. So you brought in a top 5 interior defender in Poona Ford that joins a group with a ton of talent that still has not gone close to reaching their ceiling because they have only been in the league 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, right? And then you put Poona Ford, who's a veteran, it's already really good. I'm telling you, this is going to be a top 5 group if they can stay healthy. And the Rams got the youth compared to the other guys that are on top of them in that list. So really love what I see with that. And then also, too, you got to factor in it's Chris Shula's defense. And Chris Shula, I think, is one of the great young stars. I know this sounds like I'm being biased here, but I do kind of keep it 100 when it comes to the Rams, and there's not a lot to dislike right now for that defensive line. Last year, the awards, the advanced stuff, it all showed that they had made the right picks with those guys. But before we head out of here, just a little roster move to let you know about. The Rams did waive former 5th-round wide receiver Quintez Cephas. He entered the offseason program, but he is been waived. The Rams announced that they have waived wide receiver Quintez Cephas. They had originally picked him up last September. They signed him to their practice squad after he was released by the Texans. He then signed a reserve futures deal with the Rams this offseason, but is not going to be joining the team for training camp. Cephas did enter the league as a 5th-round pick by the Lions in 2020. Caught 37 passes, 568 receiving yards, had 4 touchdowns, but most of that came with the Detroit Lions. So he is not on the Rams. So we kind of talked about him when we were doing the 53-man roster crunch that we talked about a few weeks ago. But, hey, get excited, Ramley. Football is in the air. Football is in the air. What's the thing that really makes you feel like, okay, football is really in the air? I mean, once 4th of July rolls around, I mean, that mind is all on the gridiron. Yes, of course, I'm a Dodgers reporter. Also do football, and I do NFL radio and the football and baseball. I mean, I love all this stuff, right? I mean, I live for all this stuff, but football is football, you know, and it's going to be really, really exciting to start the season with so much with this team. It's been fun to watch this team grow the way they have, and we'll see if they make some moves heading into the season, but it's going to be exciting. If you guys are going to training camp, let me know because I'm going to be covering the team for a couple days there as well. So that's going to do it for this episode, though, of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.